Hey everybody, Tim Mahoney. Tuesday tips are finally back. I know I've been saying they've been coming back forever. Well, now they're here and they're here to stay, promise. So every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, pretty much Tuesday around noonish, we'll be releasing a new Tuesday tip, and I promise we won't miss. So this one is on the city of Freeport staying home rule status. So what is home rule? Well, the Illinois Municipal League says the purpose of home rule is to allow for local solutions to local issues and problems. A municipality with home rule status can exercise any power and perform any function unless it's specifically prohibited from doing so by the state law. And home rule status is created by the Illinois Constitution. If you're over 25,000 residents, then you automatically have home rule status. Freeport, Illinois has had home rule status for over 50 years, but now because of the 2020 census, we've dropped under 25,000. And so now in order to stay home rule, there has to be a referendum passed citywide. So on this upcoming election in a couple of weeks, we can always early vote. There is a referendum on the ballot as to whether or not we want the city to stay home rule status. And there's been a pushback against this. And I guess the idea is if there's no home rule status, people think that taxes will go down. Not sure why, but home rule allows any city that has home rule to do more taxing and not less taxing. They can tax in the following areas: sales tax, service occupation tax, use tax, food and beverage tax, and tobacco product tax. And what that essentially means is anybody that comes from outside the city into the city and buys any of those things, the city of Freeport gets a portion of that tax. So if somebody's going by the bypass, they come into the city, they stop at Starbucks, they stop at Farm and Fleet, they're going to pay a sales tax. That sales tax goes to the city of Freeport. So if the city of Freeport loses home rule, that ability to collect that sales tax will go away, and there'll be a shortfall to the city, and the shortfall is significant. The city estimates that it gets between $4 and $4.5 million per year based on the taxes that it gets because of home rule. That's around 18% of the city's overall budget. So if home rule goes away, the city's gonna have a almost 20% hole in its budget. Well, there's only one place that the city can make that up. It's very limited on the areas that it can tax. It's going to be property tax. So property taxes are going to have to go up in order to make that pitfall. Now, some other arguments, so I read the arguments online against home rule. One of the arguments is that it gives too much power to the city council. Well, I mean, there isn't a more directly related election official that you have. I mean, your city council members, it doesn't take a large number of votes in order to elect them. They're immediately responsive to you. So I don't quite understand that particular argument, but put something in the chat and we'll talk about it. It also, there's been some arguments about that there'll be fewer fire districts, and so that somehow will reduce costs to the city. Well, I mean, if you've got a piece of property that needs to be mowed and it takes 4 hours to mow it, and you can either pay 4 people $20 an hour at 1 hour a piece to mow it, $80, or you can pay one person $20 an hour, 4 hours to mow it, $80. It still costs you $80 to hire somebody to mow that piece of property. Well, even if we have 3 fire districts as opposed to 5, you're still going to have to cover all the areas. So you're going to still have to have firemen in those particular firehouses in order to deal with the remaining district. The point is, the number of people that you have to provide fire protection to doesn't change. So if the districts go from 3 to 5, okay, so what? You're still going to have to provide the same number of firemen, the same number of houses, in order to provide the same coverage. So the reality is this: if the home rule doesn't pass, property taxes are going up, period. And they're going to go up considerably. If home rule does pass, if you vote yes, keep home rule, then property taxes aren't going to go up as much or might not go up at all because you're going to continue to collect tax dollars from anybody who comes from outside of the city, inside of the city to buy anything. I don't see how it doesn't make sense to continue to do that and be able to tax somebody who stops in at Brewfest, or stops in at Eats and Beats, whatever, somebody that comes from out of town and purchases something, so that way we can collect. Got questions, throw them in the chat. Conversation, throw them in the chat. I'll be happy to watch it and I will answer it. And look for your next Tuesday tip next Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, always right around noon. Thanks for watching.